Welcome to the Tea Mind, and for those of you that are new around here, I'm Erica, and this is the podcast where we pause, put the kettle on, and reconnect with what really matters. Each episode is your invitation to slow down and explore how something as simple as a cup of tea can become a gateway to mindfulness, mental fitness, and a more present way of living. We'll sip our way through practical tea routines, powerful insights, and heartfelt stories. Some weeks it's just you and me, and some weeks we'll hear from inspiring guests. But every week it's a chance to recalibrate, to pause, rebalance, and thrive. So grab your favourite mug, breathe deeply, and join me in the art of living with a tea mind. Hello, and welcome back to this Tea Mind podcast, your weekly pause to rebalance and thrive. And today we are sitting with a question that sounds simple but rarely gets answered. And that is, when was the last time you told yourself that you were proud of you? Not proud of what you did, but proud of who you are. So pop the kettle on, grab your favourite mug, and let's talk about the kindest voice that you rarely hear, your own. So, if you're anything like me, you probably encourage your friends a lot when they start to doubt themselves. You're generous with compliments, forgiving of mistakes, and really warm with your support of others. But perhaps that's a little bit different when it comes to yourself. Perhaps that voice changes and suddenly it switches to that berating voice that you should have known better, that wasn't good enough, why can't you just get it right? You know the voices. It's like we save our own worst conversations for the mirror, but that's not self-awareness, it's self-neglect, and we have normalized it for far too long. But that inner critic has a real cost to us. Just imagine saying to a friend what you say to yourself when you're having a bad day. And I bet you wouldn't because it can be quite cruel, but somehow we justify it as motivation or just getting real. But there's a real cost to that. This constant self-criticism can really start to erode our self-confidence, and it brings the joy out of life and it sort of zaps motivation away. It can often keep us stuck in a cycle where even your wins don't feel like enough. And over time, you stop trying to impress yourself, chasing external approval rather than sitting with your internal approval, which isn't a really good way to get the most out of your life. And eventually it breaks. So perhaps a key to it is writing to the real you, writing yourself a love letter, if you will. And I remember years ago, the first time someone suggested that I write a love letter to myself, and I cringed. I stared at the blank page. I didn't know what to write. It felt weird and awkward, but I went with it anyway, and I had a go because something told me that if I couldn't write kind words to myself, then who was going to do it for me? So I started small with little phrases like, I am resilient. I keep showing up even when I've got the fear. I'm there for others when I need me. And over time, something started to shift in my brain. And it wasn't boosting my ego, it was more about learning to respect myself and to come back to myself. So something that I do regularly, maybe once a month or so, and I did it again just this morning. And it makes it easier just to become aware of the automatic nervous thoughts, these ants that we have. And this morning, an interesting thing came up as well, along with the stuff that you might expect. And it was the fact that I am loving the 85-year-old me now. So it's something I've been quite aware of recently. But by loving and taking care of myself now, I am sort of really caring for my 85-year-old self. And in that image that I have in my head, and it's a woman that's healthy and strong. She's able to carry her own shopping bags and look after herself and go on lots of adventures and still loving life. So that's been a really powerful realization to pay attention to keeping to fuel my body and move more and build connection into my days. So after spending just 5, 10 minutes writing this letter to myself this morning, I paid attention to how I felt and my shoulders had dropped. I felt much more relaxed My breathing had slowed down and got deeper, and I was really ready to move forward with more power, confidence, and excitement. So perhaps that's something that might be a good thing to try this week as part of your tea routine. So here's how you begin. When you're waiting for your tea to brew, just perhaps write down 5 things that you really like about who you are. Not what you do, but who you are. And then for each one, just add a little line, sort of were you brave? When were you kind? When did you keep going? And if you're finding it difficult or you get a little bit stuck, try thinking of someone that really believes in you. Maybe a friend, a parent, that teacher who once saw something good in you years ago. What would they write in a letter to you? And write that. And it doesn't need to be great writing, it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be honest. And even if it feels hard, that's a real sign that this work really is important and it's worth paying attention to now. So this isn't just woo-woo, there's lots of science behind it as well. It's been shown that it does rewire your brain, and these self-compassion practices like affirmations and like self-kindness journaling actually rewire your brain's stress response, and it calms down your amygdala, your cortisol, your stress hormone drops, and it helps to build up your emotional resilience. It's what Brene Brown called wholehearted living, where worthiness isn't something that you earn, but it's something that you accept. And this acceptance always starts with how we speak to ourselves. And again, this reminded me of something that happened a few weeks ago. I was in a club. It was a day rave because I'm getting on a little bit now. And this girl came up to me and we were just standing at the bar, and this girl who I'd never seen in my life came up to me and said, "Tell me one thing about yourself that you love." Um, and I got a bit flummoxed for a second. I was quite annoyed with myself that I couldn't suggest one thing about myself that I loved, but it really stuck with me. And she explained that her and her friends were, rather than moaning about all their perceived flaws like a lot of people normally do, they were instead celebrating their virtues and lifting each other up and noticing things that they loved about themselves rather than things that they felt bad about. So yeah, I just thought that was really interesting, and it's great that more and more people are flipping the switch and looking at things in a slightly different way. So, as your tea brews this week, I would suggest that you give this love letter to yourself a go. Just take a few moments with a pen and paper. Maybe start with, "Dear me, I'm proud of you because." Perhaps just set a timer for 3 minutes while you're waiting for your tea to brew. And write without judgment, without editing, and without analysing. And then just fold it up, tuck it away somewhere safe. And on those bad days, just have a wee read of it to boost your self-confidence. And you can start building this up, maybe do it once a month so you start to build your little kindness archive of all these little love letters to yourself. Because at the end of the day, you are the longest relationship that you will ever have. So might as well make it a kind one. So I'm curious, do let me know if you've ever written a love letter to yourself, or if it's something that you're going to try, do let me know how you get on. And remember, it's free, it's private, and it's quietly transformational. And if you do want to look into this a little bit deeper, I highly recommend Brené Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection. I'll pop a link to it in the show notes below. That book really helped me realise that we don't need to earn our self-worth. We just need to stop rejecting it. So thanks for joining me on this solo episode today. And remember that giving yourself love doesn't make you selfish, it makes you whole. And if you found this helpful, please share it or write your own letter or send this to someone who needs a little reminder that they are enough already. So until next time, keep remembering to pause for tea so that you can rebalance and thrive. And remember to be kind to the one person you'll always be with, yourself. Thank you. Thanks for sharing this cup of calm with me. As you move through your day, take the Tea Mind with you. Pause when you can, breathe and be kind to yourself. And please follow the Tea Mind to get new episodes as they land on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, stay present, sip slowly, and thanks for listening.